Namaskar friends, welcome back to video 6 of week 5. This is going to be a very powerful and emotionally dense topic. Today we enter one of the most intense and socially relevant areas of forensic linguistics, that is hate speech in digital spaces. Hate speech is not just aggressive language, it is organized linguistic violence. It targets identity, dignity, and psychological safety. It spreads faster than any physical act, and once it enters the digital world, it multiplies, echoes, mutates, and becomes a community phenomenon. In this session, we will learn how hate speech operates linguistically and how forensic linguistics helps detect, contextualize, and legally interpret it. So let's start with the basic question. What makes speech hate speech? People often confuse hate speech with rude speech or disagreements. But legally and linguistically, hate speech operates on a deeper level. Hate speech is a targeted linguistic act meant to dehumanize, provoke, intimidate, or mobilize hostility against an individual or maybe a community. It relies heavily on identity markers like race, caste, religion, gender, orientation, region, and many more. Hate speech is not just offensive, it aims to create psychological harm, social division, and sometimes even real world violence. Linguistics help courts determine whether the speech crosses this boundary or not. Now, let's understand how words become violence, how hate speech is used as a linguistic weapon. Hate speech works because language can carry emotional force. Words become labels, labels become categories, categories become stereotypes, and stereotypes becomes justification for hostility. When someone says, these people are pests, the metaphor is not decorative. It transforms humans into something disposable. When someone repeatedly uses they to describe a community, the pronoun becomes a wall. Digital hate speech uses metaphors, pronouns, dehumanizing adjectives, and repetitive slogans to turn emotions into action. Now, a question comes to our mind that why digital platforms amplify hate speech. Friends, digital platforms reward engagement, not accuracy or kindness. Algorithms amplify content that provokes emotion, anger, fear, outrage, tribal identity, and many more. Hate speech thrives in this environment because it triggers immediate emotional responses. A hateful post receives reactions, comments, shares much more than on an ordinary post. Each interaction amplifies its visibility. And because digital communications lacks tone and face-to-face accountability, users feel free to express hostility. The linguistic climate of digital platforms often removes empathy from conversation. And that's one of the reasons they find more leverage on it. Now, if you want to understand the linguistic anatomy of hate speech, we can break down things in parts and we can understand that. If we can do this successfully, in that case, hate speech can be easily predicted by linguistic patterns, because hate speech follows predictable linguistic patterns. It uses collective pronouns like they, them, these people. It uses derogatory labels, reducing entire groups to a single insult. It uses metaphors of contamination, infecting, polluting, taking over, like that. It uses call to action verbs like drive them out, teach them a lesson. It also uses coded language, slang or memes that signal group identity. These elements do not appear randomly, mind it. They emerge from cultural narratives and group psychology. When we decode these patterns, hate speech becomes visible even when disguised behind humor, sarcasm, or just a joke. You must have heard people talk, I'm just joking, but that's not the thing. That is something that you see on the surface. But if you dig out, you get lots of ideas coming to surface. Let's talk about one case. Imagine a hate speech post that goes viral on social media. The message says, we need to show these people their place before they ruin our country. I speak again. We need to show these people their place before they ruin our country. Linguistically, this sentence has multiple layers. Collective pronoun, these people. Fear narrative, ruin our country. And a call to punitive action, show their place. Courts must determine whether this post is simply harsh opinion or genuine incitement. Forensic linguistics help reveal intention by analyzing structure, emotional tone, implicit threats, and historical associations of the words used. Now, when we move towards coded hate, we need to understand that how communities hide hostility behind innocent words. Hate speech does not always look hateful. Like communities often develop coded language, phrases, emojis, or metaphors, right, understood only by insiders. A fruit emoji may represent a targeted identity. A number sequence may refer to a hateful ideology. A seemingly neutral phrase may carry lauded meaning in certain political or cultural contexts. As a forensic linguist, we must understand that hate speech hides behind layers of coded expression. Only contextual decoding reveals the true force of these messages. Now, if you look at how this hate speech escalates and what is the psychology behind the language, we need to understand that hate speech escalates because it thrives on emotional reinforcement. When users see others expressing aggression, they feel emboldened. Each comment raises the temperature. Language becomes sharper, more extreme. Social identity theory shows that when group identity becomes more salient, language becomes more polarized. Hate speech reflects this psychological shift. Friends, linguistically, escalation can be measured through verb intensity, adjective harshness, metaphor strength, and directness of threat. Now, if you look at the WhatsApp groups, while public platforms amplify hate speech, private WhatsApp groups intensify it. Inside a closed group, users share unfiltered opinions. They reinforce each other's biases. They forward emotionally charged messages. They use group specific slang, political memes, religious insinuations. These messages rarely faced external challenge. Linguistically, WhatsApp hate speech becomes more direct, more personal, and more coordinated. Courts often rely on these chat logs to understand conspiracy, mobilization, or coordinated hostility. Now, when it comes to radicalization, especially online radicalization, how hate turns into action through language. This is a very important thing to understand. Online radicalization is a linguistic journey. It begins with a mild frustration, shifts into a blaming language, and then intensifies into a us versus them rhetoric, and finally reaches to a violent metaphors. The step by step journey works. Radicalization often looks like a slow climb, but each linguistic shift moves the person closer to the action. This is how the narratives are set. If you have impression that you watch reels, you are mistaken. Friends, you are shown what is to be shown to you people. Just think about it, you will get to know lots of ideas. When courts evaluate radicalization, they examine vocabulary evolution, sentiment progression, and the shift from opinion to collective threat framing. This analysis becomes crucial in identifying early signs of extremist influence. And if we can decode this at the early stage, we can stop some narratives to come up. Courts must answer a difficult question. Did the speech merely express anger or did it incite harm? Linguistics helps courts interpret intention, audience impact, cultural meaning, and the structure of the message. Words like destroy, clean, take action, when used repeatedly, it signal coercive force. Courts rely on linguistic experts to analyze whether speech is satirical, metaphorical, or genuinely provocative. The legal threshold for hate speech often depends on linguistic nuance, not just overt aggression. When analyzing hate speech, investigators should track frequency of identity levels. Number 2, intensify of metaphor. Number 3, patterns of repetition. Number 4, coordinating pronoun. Number 5, group signaling, slang, and next is any shift towards incitement. These markers, when mapped chronologically, they reveal momentum, and a momentum is a key. Bold, italic, underline. This momentum is a key in determining dangerous speech. I'm sure that this is something where you must have opened up your eyes widely and to understand things, that when you scroll down social media platforms, when you come across such kind of post, you must have ignored it, or you must have read it but not reacted it. But now, after watching this video, I'm sure that you will find more clarity, you will be able to find more layers of the words written there. My dear friends, thank you very much for engaging deeply with this complex and socially critical topic. Friends, hate speech is not just about what is said, it's about what the language intends to do. Understanding these patterns help us bring clarity, accountability, and justice to our digital world shaped by emotions and identity. In the next video, we moved into linguistic traces in anonymous online behavior, where we decode how identity leaks subtly through writing, even hostile digital environments. So I'll catch you there in video number 7 of week 5. Till then, thank you very much. Stay tuned to the course. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.